For regular videos on ancient cultures and forgotten civilizations, please subscribe. Hello, everyone. Here I am with Tess Schumacher, my companion on our trip to Turkey. We had a great time, and as is our custom with these series, we just finished a series of 12 episodes from Turkey, and if you haven't seen any of them yet, go and watch. And if you've seen some of them, go watch the other ones. But anyway, what we usually do at the end is we give you an overview of what we thought of it and what our favorite places were. So we're going to tell you, for each of us, our top 10 must-see archaeological sites or museums that we went to. We went to many more than that, but Tess chose her 10. I chose my 10. I don't know what she chose. She doesn't know what I chose, so we're going to compare notes and see if we're thinking along the same wavelengths or not. Welcome to the Antiquities Travel Guide, a helping hand for visiting historic places. Follow us to different countries as we search for ancient artifacts. If you too wish to explore the ancient past through travel, we'll help you plan where to go, what to see, and how best to enjoy what you encounter. In this series of the ATG, you can accompany Tess and me on our trek through Turkey, homeland of the ancient Phrygians, Luwians, Trojans, Hittites, Lydians, Galatians, and Greeks. Come on, let's go. So, Tess, let me ask you this. Did you have a good time?
Oh my God, I had an incredible time. It was so hard to pick my top 10 going back and just looking over everything. You know, it's hard to believe, first of all, it's been a year since we went. Time flies, but just looking back, the cool thing about this trip was that every day was just so different than the next. You never knew what you're going to expect when you wake up. It was just adventure after adventure. So again, it was really hard to pick my top 10 of all these days.
Okay, I'm really interested in what you chose. Now, for full disclosure, you were not really an ancient history buff in the first place, were you?
Not at all. No.
So when I asked you to go with me, what were you thinking? Like, this could be boring.
It did cross my mind, and there definitely were a lot of columns and walls involved.
We saw many theaters and sarcophagi, didn't we?
We did. The sarcophagi were definitely a highlight. But I'm always up for anything, any experience, even if I'm not, fully knowledgeable about the topic. So I was just along for the ride, and I did learn a lot, and also just got to see a lot about Turkish culture and a lot of other things. So yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting. The audience will be getting a top 10 from someone who is interested in ancient history and archaeology, and then a top 10 from an average tourist who's going to another country and seeing the sites, and maybe they're not going to be the
Exactly.
same, we
Yeah.
will see. Okay.
Definitely different perspectives there.
Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you share your number 10, and then I'll share my
Okay.
number 10. And obviously, the second time we talk about a site, because it will happen if we have doubles, right? If we have
Yeah.
overlap, we don't have to say as much as the first time. But
Okay.
okay, so what was your number 10?
My number 10 was Sagalassos.
Okay.
Um, yeah. And what I loved about that site was, first of all, just the drive to get there. It was just incredible scenery. We're driving up through the mountains, and there's woods and just stunning views. And then we get to the top of this precipice, and there's this incredible terrace, and um, it was just absolutely beautiful, stunning. And then there was a beautiful fountain that they'd reconstructed with
And it was
real
running.
water.
Yeah.
It was actually running, and I think even people were drinking from it, which so you could really see what it was like in ancient times, really gave you a picture of that. And then the terraces just kept coming. It just kept going up and up. And again, just stunning views and really incredible spot. You could really feel the history there.
I love that place too. And it might be on my list a little higher, but great. Yes, Sagalassos. That's one of my one a great pick. A great pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, what was my number 10? I think my number 10 is one that you hated, but we will see. The only reason you hated it, I think, is because it was so hot. And that is the site of Perga. Um, when we went there, it was like blazing. And it
Yeah.
wasn't the worst one, but it may have been the second worst one we went to as far as heat is concerned. And
Yes.
but it was a vast, huge place. There was so much there. There was a beautiful theater, which was the best, like the Skene, the stage that I've ever seen. There were the couple of gates, and there was an Nymphaeum, but it wasn't running, obviously. There was a long street. There were columns all over the place. And I think if it had been cooler,
Yes.
we would have enjoyed it more, and I would have stayed longer because we didn't even go all the way down. There was more, there, but we just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah, there's a few places that would be worth going back in cooler months and revisiting for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I liked Perga. I liked Perga.
Yeah.
Um, okay, what is your number nine?
Number nine was Antalya in general. So we did visit the museum there, which I was pleasantly surprised with. It looked very small from the outside and very kind of nondescript, and there was a lot of really interesting exhibits in there. I enjoyed that a lot. And then just the day we spent in Antalya was really memorable. That was the day that I went to a Turkish bath and got to experience that, which was very interesting. Basically you just go into this area with women only and they strip you down, and this old woman kind of scrubbed me from top to bottom, and definitely a authentic Turkish experience.
All right.
Um, and the food there was incredible. We had a
Yeah.
really lovely dinner there, and the town was nice. It was on the
Mhm.
water, very beautiful. So I really enjoyed everything about Antalya.
It was that was kind of our vacation day.
Yes,
But I dragged you all to the museum.
you
Uh,
did, which was
which I
okay. I
enjoyed.
enjoyed it.
Um, yeah, okay. All right. Good pick. Good pick. My number nine is the Bodrum Museum of Underwater Archaeology.
Hmm.
You probably remember that one in the castle, and we had
Yeah.
to walk around to different parts of the castle and the different towers, and they had different exhibits. And initially, when I was there, I thought, this is a beautiful castle. There's a nice view of the bay and everything, but I didn't really see a lot as far as the artifacts was concerned until I realized they had the Ulu Burun shipwreck there. And they had some amazing shipwrecks with all kinds of artifacts in them. And it was in a beautiful
Mm,
location. It was comfortable there that day. And so I really enjoyed seeing underwater archaeology, because how many underwater archaeology museums are there? Not many. So
exactly. Yeah.
that was my number nine.
All right.
What's your number eight?
My number eight was it Hattusa or Hattusha?
Hattusha.
Hattusha. Yes. So this was an incredibly massive site. And it was, again, just one of those days that was really memorable. We had a wonderful meal with a small, like, family-owned restaurant right before, met some people in town, really small town. And then we go out on this massive site, just so much to see. You could spend more than a day there, just walking around. And it was really interesting because you could see there were modern day farmers everywhere. So there were the
They had
cows and
sheep and
the
everything. Yeah.
yeah, and people were just going about their
Cows. Yeah, we
daily
saw
lives.
cows too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So they were farming on the land just amid these ruins, which was pretty incredible. And then there was that stone, the wish stone.
Oh yeah, it was green, right? The green
Yeah,
stone.
and that lady told me to put my hands on it to feel the vibrations.
We saw her
Um,
earlier too at Elijah Hoyuk.
did. Yeah, yeah. So I did put my hands on the wish stone, and I'm not sure how many vibrations I felt, but maybe it changed my life. We'll see. I don't know.
All right. Yes. Hattusha was a magnificent site.
Mhm.
Okay. My number eight, is it? My number eight
Number
is
eight.
Troy. Our last site. And uh the reason why it isn't higher, I mean, going to Troy is like amazing. It's where the Trojan War was and everything.
Yeah.
Troy. Only reason it wasn't higher is because there's not a lot there. They have remains of some walls and ramps and things like that. Uh, but there isn't like a ton of archaeology there. But it still is a very pleasant place. They have a nice
Mhm.
museum. There's not a lot in the museum. It's a giant museum with like not a lot of artifacts, but
Yeah.
it is still a
Yeah.
nice museum. And so the site is very pleasant, very nice. And there is the history there, and you can learn a lot about Troy there. And just be the idea of being at Troy, I thought was great. So that's why it
Yeah.
made my number 8.
Yeah. It definitely was incredible. And I was a bit disappointed because there was not much left of it, but the history behind it is still pretty incredible. So.
Okay. All right. What is your number 7?
All right. My 7 was Elijah Hoyek.
Okay. All right.
And that was one of the days where I really felt like we were on an Indiana Jones expedition.
When I
It
took you
was,
through the weeds.
yes, yes. And those are the memories you just think of when you're looking back on a trip. So again, it's like in the middle of nowhere. We get there and all we see is just this huge field of poppies and weeds. And I'm thinking, okay, what's in here?
You
And
like
then
you like the flora and the fauna sometimes
and,
better than the archaeology.
but I also like feeling like we're discovering it, you
True,
know,
true. And we went through that
kind of.
tunnel, you know? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we got stuck in the weeds a few times, got a little lost, and we were the only ones out there. So yeah, it was exciting for me as someone who doesn't know a lot about ancient history. I kind of felt like we were discovering it out there,
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
expedition. So, and it
And
was beautiful.
in those early days of the trip, we were higher in elevation and the weather was
Yeah.
nice and cool. It just felt
Yes,
good up there, you know?
it was.
When we
Yeah,
went down to the coast, it was real hot.
yeah. That's like half my memory of the coast. Unfortunately, is just burning alive.
Yeah.
But
Okay. All right. Very good. My number 7 was Hierapolis. That's where the travertine terraces were. You know, we had to walk all the way up, but the water running down and everything, and the white stones, and
yeah.
and then we went up there, and we also went swimming in Cleopatra's pool,
Yep.
and then of course the archaeology was great too. There were the big gates, and there was the plutonium, and we this was I did not put this in the video, but we met a fan there.
Oh
On our
yeah, the
channel. Do you
German
remember
guy.
that? Though their family was there, like, oh, we watch you. I'm in Turkey, and here, someone knows me. I thought it was really cool. Uh, but Hierapolis had a nice museum in the bathhouse, and
Mhm.
so I really liked that one. There was a lot to see.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Okay.
you're number 6 now.
My number 6 is actually your number 7.
Hierapolis.
Hierapolis.
Okay, so you
Yep,
liked it too.
I did.
Did you like it for the same reasons?
And a little bit different. One was the hike up there,
Hmm.
and just the natural wonders of that area with the thermal springs and the incredible, white hillside that looks like snow, but and you have to hike up there to actually get to Hierapolis. So that's part of the experience in itself.
Hmm.
And that was really nice. And then we get up there, and like you said, the sights were amazing.
We were on the
The
cart,
yep, the woman, very nice woman, taking us around in her cart, and the lovely swim in Cleopatra's pool, and it was just a great day altogether.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Mhm.
Um, my number 6 is a museum. It's the only other museum I have. Uh, and next to the Underwater Archaeology Museum, my second favorite museum was the one in Ankara, the Museum of Anatolian Civilizations. Now, we saw a number of museums. There was one on Antalya, for example, with a lot of Greco-Roman things. But this one had a lot of older stuff that I really liked from Hittite times, and we had the Phrygians in there, and there were even the letters from the Syrian colony in Anatolia. It's just great stuff. That and just a wonderful museum. And I would love to go back because there was one section that they were doing something in, and we couldn't go over
Yeah.
there. So I would love to go back. But that one of the best museums. So if you are going to see a museum in Turkey, the one in Ankara is fantastic, I thought.
Yes, and as someone who is not a huge ancient history buff, I also recommend it. I did thoroughly enjoy it. So,
Great, great. You're
okay.
okay, we're halfway done. You're
Yeah,
number 5.
getting up there. Number 5 was Istanbul. And that is one that, one thing I love about traveling is I'm an avid reader. I read fiction, nonfiction, and I've read so much about this city and its history and the Hagia Sophia and the Basilica Cistern, these places that I've read about. Just seeing them firsthand in person was a really amazing experience. And just the city in general, we had a great spot. We were right in Old Town. We woke up to the call to prayer every morning, kind of battling between the two
Yeah,
mosques there. Yeah.
yeah. Now I took you
Yeah.
to places that people, might not always go to in Istanbul,
Yes.
but
Yes.
I hope you like those.
No, I
With the
did. And I
museums there,
definitely,
and yeah,
and I definitely love to go back and just spend more time exploring the city itself.
yeah, yeah. I mean, we only just touched the surface,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
uh, wonderful city. Yeah. Um, my number five was a small site, but it still was a magnificent site, and that is Didyma. I mean, that temple was just gigantic, and there's still a lot of it standing. These big white marble columns, and I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, it's just one building. It's just one building mainly, right? But it'll blow your mind. Like, and
Yeah.
anyone that's in that area should go there because it is just magnificent.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think video and picture don't do it justice, how massive it
no, you feel
is.
like an ant.
Yes, you feel like a little miniature person for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
loved Didyma. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh, okay, number four.
Number four for me was Goreme and
Oh,
Cappadocia.
okay. Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, it's just like driving into a fairy tale there.
We didn't get to see a lot of it because we just went into that one
Yeah,
church, but yeah,
but just a little taste of it was enough for me to want to go back, definitely. It's
maybe go
just
on a
incredible.
balloon ride.
I do, and I also want to ride a horse. That was one thing that was on my list is to get up really early in the morning and you can ride a horse and watch the sunrise over that stunning landscape. So
Mhm.
that is another one where I'd love to return and just spend some more time.
And we stayed at
Because
a
it's
cute
just,
little hotel, didn't we? It was
oh yeah, it was, yeah,
and they were very nice there, and yeah, it was all the fairy chimneys. Yeah,
the
very.
fairy chimneys. And you can actually stay in the fairy chimneys. Some of those you can rent out. So that would be a really interesting experience. And that church we went to, um, yeah, just the history. It's just, you can read about it all you want, but then getting there and just seeing it firsthand,
Hmm.
uh, I was definitely getting interested in the ancient history. Just seeing
Okay.
that place.
My number four, you already mentioned, but I have it higher on the list is Hattusha.
Mhm.
And wow, it's a big site. You have to drive in the site, right? But it gives you an idea of how big the city was back then. And we got to see some of the walls, and we got to see some of the hieroglyphs. And then, of course, next to Hattusha, and I'm kind of including this, was the monument called Yazilakaya, not the one we went to in Phrygia, but the other Yazilakaya. And all these inscribed rocks and everything, and it was an amazing sight. I was
Yeah.
not expecting there to be as much as there was there. I mean, still there was a lot of the city that was missing, but the size of it, and also being up on that mountain and just the view and seeing for miles in all directions, and it
Mhm.
was just an amazing experience. So yeah, I really like that too.
Yeah.
We've got three left.
Three
Okay.
left, top three here.
I'm trying to figure out what your top three are. All right, what is your number three?
My number three, and forgive me if I don't pronounce it right, is Tlos.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yes.
close.
And
I almost put it on my list, but I
oh,
didn't.
really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because
But why did you like it?
not only the site is amazing, but just like our experience there was so memorable. And you know,
This wasn't in the video, everybody,
oh
but we
no, yeah.
tried to find the Pegasus tomb,
The
and
Leferon's
we got
resting place.
lost in the woods and trying to find our way up there. And
I mean, it was an adventure. We were like hiking on the side
then we
of
got out, and it's like, oh, it was
precipice.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah, we were standing right underneath it the whole time, and we're like, "Where is it?" And then we drive away, and we realize we were just standing right there. But but just the tombs on the hillside,
Yeah,
and you
just
can walk
the
there.
way it looked, right? It's just a great
Yeah.
shot, of just looking at that. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So
And they
yeah,
had
I really.
on the other side, they had a theater and bathhouses, and so they had other
Mhm.
buildings as well. So it's a pretty big site. But it really is a cool one. Very cool
Yeah,
site. Um, and okay, Tlos, my number three is one that you chickened out of,
I knew it.
and that is Darren Kuyu.
Yeah,
Yeah. You got to see a bit of it, but after we got down a little bit too far, you were like, I'm going back. Yeah. And if you have claustrophobia, folks, it's probably not the best place to go. But just being in an underground city
mhm.
like that, I mean, it's just amazing. Like I've never been in anything like that before. And it just goes on and on and on, and you can get lost, and there's tunnels, and wow.
Mhm.
I did notice after I was there down there a while, you know, because there were not a lot of oxygen. They do have these wells that go way down that bring in air from the top, but it's
Yeah,
still, but it
yeah,
was cool. It wasn't hot, which I thought was nice.
yeah.
But it was crowded.
It
And
was
that
very
even made it
crowded.
like you're going down a narrow tunnel and there's like people coming the other way,
It was like my worst nightmare. It was like a giant crowd, no air, and you're stuck underground. I can't think of anything worse, but the idea of it was really, really awesome.
Uh, it was an adventure, so I enjoyed
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. What is your number two?
Down there, my number two was Ephesus.
Ephesus.
And
Well,
yes, and
I might
that
as well
is
just say right now, it also is my number two.
okay. We have something in common. Great.
Yes. So
Yeah.
we got a match. Yeah,
Yep.
Ephesus. Why did you like it?
I loved everything about it. I could spend all day there exploring. Again, it's a massive site. There's so much to see. My favorite part was the terraces that were being,
The houses. Yeah.
yes, the houses.
Ah,
And,
okay.
I've been to Pompeii and I've seen all over there. And this was just even more incredible than Pompeii with just the detail of the
That's
painting.
saying a lot. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it was so well preserved. It just felt like
Mhm.
you, again, were there in those times. You could imagine it. You could imagine the people living there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
And by the way, folks, they're still excavating there. So the site just keeps growing because they keep finding more things. So it is amazing. And yeah, you could just like concentrate on one building for a long time, like,
Yeah.
oh, look at this, look at that. And it's a whole, a large portion of the city is still there. So yeah, it is. It's no wonder that it is probably the most popular archaeological site in the country. And it's definitely worth going. If you love ancient history, I mean, especially, it's worth going. But even if you're not a big fan, like Tess, you still enjoyed
We'll
it.
go. Yep. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah. Um, okay, I have no idea
You
what
have
your
no
number one
idea.
is. No.
I
Let me
almost want you to guess.
let's see. Let's see. What didn't you mention? You're not gonna pick Darren Kuyu. Uh
No.
you could pick Didyma, but would you make that better than Ephesus? I don't know. Um You're not gonna pick Laodicea because you were hot there. Uh,
It was too hot.
um, I'm trying to think. All right, you're gonna have to tell me.
It was our day hiking in Ezekiel Kaya.
Oh, Yasilikaya. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
That was hands down my favorite day in Turkey. And
Really? And that was like
it,
really early in our trip.
it was cool. So there was that, but
It
it
was fun.
combined
Yeah.
everything. Yeah, it combined
Oh,
everything I love about
comfortable and
travel.
yeah.
It was off the beaten path, so there were no tourists. And, we're driving through places where no Americans have been. And we end up at this little tiny spot. You almost miss it. And then there's these lovely people who came out and met
Mhm.
us, and the
We're the
dog.
only customers there. Like there was like a guy with a table set up with souvenirs, and we were the only
Yeah,
people.
we were the only people there. And then of course the dogs who helped guide us
Yes.
along our hike.
Mhm.
And then we're hiking through these incredible landscapes, and there's just like tombs on the side of the rock,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just you just kind of stumble upon it. There's no guides, you're just discovering it for yourself. And it was really fascinating to go up there and
Yeah,
see that.
it was a great site. I didn't put it on my list, but I did super
Yeah.
enjoy it. The only reason
Yeah.
I didn't put it on my list is because there wasn't a ton of archaeology there, but
Yeah.
there, as far as the beauty of the countryside, I mean, it was just amazing. Yeah, and I guess you could also include Little Yazilikaya that we went to
Yes.
first. That was cool too, you know?
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Now, you might be surprised what I put as my number one. It's one you had on your list already, but you had it at the bottom, and that is Sagalassos.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, you might say, well, why would you pick Sagalassos over Ephesus? Like, why would that be number one and Ephesus is number two? Ephesus has more and it's very similar,
Yeah.
isn't it? Um, but it was like an undiscovered gem. You know what I mean? So that's one of the reasons why I put it a little bit higher because everybody knows about Ephesus. Okay, yeah, it's great. Okay, we know. But how many people know about Sagalassos? Okay, and and it has some really amazing ruins there too, right? The functioning nymphaeum, as you said, and a beautiful view of the mountainside. And I mean, it is definitely worth going to. So, and I think when I was there, I was like, I think this is my favorite, but I wasn't sure if it would remain my favorite, but it
Yeah.
did. It did
Yeah.
remain my favorite. So, Sagalassos, must see. It's way out in the middle of nowhere, but it is really great. So, yeah. So, what about the country of Turkey? Is would you rate it as one of your favorite places that you've gone to? How does it rank as far as
I
because
would.
you've
Yeah.
traveled a lot?
I have. And, interestingly, before you reached out to me, it wasn't on my list. It wasn't on my top list of places to go. And I knew nothing about it, to be honest. As far as like Turk or countries go, it was not one that I had researched a lot before you reached out to me. So just learning so much about a country firsthand was a really great experience. And, everything about it was great. Our road trip, the roads were great. We always felt safe. People were very welcoming and kind, even if a lot of people didn't speak English, but um, everyone was very accommodating and welcoming, and so much to see. There's from mountains to the ocean to everything in between. There's all different kinds of landscapes and city, countryside. There's just so much to see. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed Turkey in general.
And what did you think of our two guides?
Oh my gosh, they were so amazing, both of them. We couldn't have done it without them, and they just made the trip so much more memorable and fun, and the laughter we had along the way, and
There was a lot
yeah,
of laughing on our trip,
there was a lot of laughing. Yeah, yeah,
which
and
makes it all the more
yeah,
fun.
yep,
Right.
absolutely.
Well,
And
everybody, I hope we helped you
too,
out. Now, we traveled in the country is huge. So we cut it in half and we went on the western side of Turkey. So all of western Turkey from the center to the west. And this is our top 10 from that area. In the future, okay, I will be going to the other half of Turkey. But for now, these are the areas. If you're going to go to Western Turkey, these are the places you should go to if you're interested in ancient history, according to like our opinion anyway. There are some sites we didn't go to that could be good as well, but we can only tell you about the ones we know about.
yeah, and we were there for what, 3.5 weeks?
No, no, it was only two and maybe
Two, two
two and a
weeks.
couple extra days, maybe.
Okay, so 2 weeks to see all of that. So
Yeah. But we were constantly traveling, right? We were like,
constantly, yeah, always on the move.
yeah.
New thing every day.
Well, thank you so much, Tess. And I had a great time today and also on our trip.
You as
And
well, yeah.
I think the audience appreciated you too. I've seen a lot of kind comments about you.
Okay.
Okay.
It was a fun trip. Thanks for
Okay.
inviting.
See you, everybody.